What are the top 3 moves in the Alex Spiro playbook?
Well, nobody can know that, but I mean, the number one rule is that no one should ever know what I'm thinking. The second thing is I am intentionally painting a picture as I go forward that does not reveal everything at the start. So if I give an opening statement, I'm never going to say what ultimately the end of the movie is going to be. That wouldn't make for a very exciting movie. And 3, I'm going to go away from whatever I think the traditional playbook is.
Your first job out of law school was at the Manhattan DA's office, and you cracked a couple of cold murder cases that had been unsolved for years. My understanding is that you were also like knocking on doors saying, give me the cases you don't want.
That's true, and it's not a metaphor either. I literally would go office to office and say, I've got nothing to try this week. Does anybody have a case they don't want to try? And I used to try them all.
Why?
Competitiveness, probably. Desire to get better. And I love being in a courtroom. It's a good feeling to win a case, to solve a case. That being said, you know, I often felt bad. I felt bad with people sitting in prison. I mean, not so much the worst of the worst, but most of the arguments I had with my supervisors at the time were about leniency and psychological intervention and second chances.
Spiro left the DA's office in 2013 and entered private practice as a defense lawyer, first at Braffman and Associates, whose founder, Benjamin Braffman, is known for his famous, some might say infamous, clientele. Spiro started building an impressive roster of clients, many of them athletes, entertainers, and other VIPs. That roster later helped Spiro make partner at the powerful Quinn Emanuel.
I'd love to hear how you describe some of your top clients in one word. Elon Musk. I didn't think this would be the toughest question of the day, but...
In one word?
You're speechless.
I don't know that I'm speechless, I'm thinking. It's important to get answers to questions right. Groundbreaking.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Fearless.
Jay-Z.
Genius.
Mr. Beast.
Dynamic.
Alec Baldwin.
Hysterical.
Why do you think people trust you? Like, what do you offer them?
I think that people know that I'll give them what I think is the correct judgment, whether it's unpopular or not. So if they come to me and they say, we want to go down road number 1, and I say it's a bad idea, they know I'll say it's a bad idea. They know I won't just tell them what they want to hear.
Okay, before we go any further, let's bring in a couple of expert witnesses to give more context on Spiro's methods. Bloomberg's Chris Dolmetsch and Max Chafkin have spent years reporting on Spiro's eventful career.
How would you describe Alex Spiro?
He believes in himself, or at least he talks like he believes in himself. And, you know, to people who are, you know, big, strong personalities, that's really important.
Isn't it unusual for a lawyer to have this kind of star power?
Well, I mean, there have always been these kind of like TV lawyers who understand that like part of being in the job is representing their client to the public in addition to representing their client in court. Spiro gets and understands that Elon Musk doesn't just want to sell himself to a jury or to comply with the law or find a way to do what he wants to do from a legal or regulatory perspective. Like, he wants to make that case publicly, and he wants to adopt these like very strong boundary pushing positions and defend them, stake them out, and then accept the consequences if he has to.
Spiro first met Musk back in 2018. Musk was in hot water over his infamous pedo guy tweet, referring to a cave diver involved in rescuing a group of teens in Thailand. The diver sued for defamation, and Musk's chances in court didn't look good until Spiro came on board. Spiro's argument to the jury? The tweet just wasn't a big deal.
The only thing I'm going to say is the jury got this right, and we don't have any further comment at this time.
In the end, what he really convinced them of is that he was just joking. It was just a joke. And I think, you know, in a lot of ways, that case shows how, you know, the modern social media environment kind of just opens it up to this, you know, cavalier talk that in past might have led to a defamation victory. And that's one of his core tenets of his practice, is to say, just because you went on Twitter and you said something doesn't mean that you're the worst person in the history of the world.
It is now said by this jury that insults, however grave, however unpleasant, are completely open season on social media.
If somebody's going to say that some minor violation of law like some, an upgrade or somebody sends a tweet out or, violated some horrific law, they have to ask themselves, well, what was in that person's mind at the time? Were they saying to themselves, I'm about to cross some bright line that subjects myself to prison? Were they really thinking that way?
I think Spiro's argument was like pretty savvy, and it was based on an understanding of what Elon Musk does. Because like there's no law against being an is the thing. And I think one thing that's interesting about that case, not just from a kind of like how did he win perspective, but from a sort of business and power perspective, is I think that is what unleashes, Elon Musk in a big way. It's what gives Elon permission, not just legal permission, but maybe cultural permission to sort of go wild on Twitter, which ultimately led to his acquisition of Twitter, to his embrace of these kind of extreme political positions.
The Twitter takeover. That one got real messy. You were in the trenches. What worked? What didn't work?
Well, his decision to acquire the company obviously worked. He is glad he bought it. And Elon is very much experimenting as he goes. And that's part of his genius. And so it may, at moments, look, as you put it, messy. But this is what the great experimenters have always done.
What about the method? Like, there was this report that you guys were yelling at each other in a conference room. How does someone like that respond to pushback?
Everybody I advise is used to my pushback. I don't know how they take it. They probably curse me out at times, but I think ultimately, when the movie's over, people will be thankful that I told them the truth.
Elon tweeted, if any judge anywhere can block every presidential order everywhere, we do not have democracy. We have tyranny of the judiciary. This is a direct challenge to the legitimacy of the courts. Like, how does that stand in your eyes as a lawyer?
It would take a lot of time to go through every tweet.
But this one particularly has to do with the law.
I'm not so sure it has to do with me. I have my own views on the system being broken. They're not going to be the same as his views and other views. But I respect the system. I'm just trying to change it in my own way.
All right, time for the court to take a brief recess. Cross-examination will continue after. It's time for a drink.
So is this one of your favorite spots?
Yeah, sure. Many favorite spots. This is one of them.
What's Miami living like really for you?
It's relaxing. It's my oasis from the war.
The war. This is peace.
This is peace.
All right. When we met for the first time, you told me you were in war mode. What is war mode?
For better or worse, if I'm very focused on trying to solve a problem, it's hard for me to do other things at that time. Social things, human interactions. So if I'm in war mode, it means sort of everybody get away from me and let me think.
I know you're friends with Francis Suarez, Mayor Suarez.